Incoming supercar hater of the year, Larry Chen. Not a big supercar guy.
I feel you, I'm not either. And this is actually a really random car for the shop to do, but it's a really good customer, so I told him we'll do it. And some of the guys that work on my shop, they actually work for Super Trofeo teams, so they know the motor. They take these motors out every single race. So it was like kind of a fun build, a little bit different for PSI to do, and I'll take you through it.
You know what I consider this? And I'm sure a lot of people have said this too. This is the European R35 GT-R, right? Because this has been the same design essentially for almost 20 years, probably 20 years already now.
Yeah, I think it has been. And there's been so many different iterations of the car, all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, manual, V8, V10. I think there's even a V12 TDI that Volkswagen did in Europe. I don't think they ever made the car, but I mean, this is something, and this motor is also in the Huracans. It was in the Gallardos. I believe this is the same as the Huracan generation, like the updated R8. But this is a 2020 performance. So this already has like a really neat front lip, a really neat wing. It has the carbon ceramic brakes. It has some really neat interior stuff that was done. Customer got the car matte, and he wanted to go extreme with it. Wasn't fast enough. So we did an ESS supercharger on the car. It makes somewhere in the range of 800-900 now. I think it's in the 700s to the wheels. It's a crazy fast car, and it's a root style blower, so it actually adds displacement. Car is much faster. It has a really neat whine, which you'll hear when we go drive. This has a Fab Speed race exhaust on it, which is super loud. Another customer specific request, wanted the V10 to be loud, wanted it to show up.
This reminds me of like those crazy overtake R35 exhausts that are, you basically could fit your head in it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you can kind of see it through the grills a little bit up in there, like you can kind of see the discoloration there.
Oh.
And those are the actually factory tips. They're installed in the bumper, so the exhaust actually sits behind the bumper, and then you put the bumper on. Also, really hidden is, you know, the car is really hidden. I mean, you can see that it's supercharged by you can see the blower right there on the top.
Yeah, it is pretty, I mean, it is the satin black, right? The carbon bits on the outside, all of this is aftermarket?
This is actually a factory wing.
Okay.
But factory diffuser.
This is factory diffuser.
Yep, that's part of the performance package. We did some little red outlining and stuff that the customer wanted. There's an aftermarket hood on it, but all the carbon that's in the engine bay and everything is all part of the performance pack from Audi.
Got it.
Same with the sides. We did the hood. The hood is a 1016 Industries hood. Just totally changes. It kind of has this dive here in the center. Just an aesthetic look the customer liked, super aggressive. It's a nuts looking car. It looks like, I always call it the Batmobile when we have it in the shop.
Yeah, so then, did you guys do suspension on it?
Yeah, we did. We actually did the Moton Motorsport 3-ways on it, which totally changed the car. I mean, the cool thing about this car is the customer tracks it. He goes to Sebring, I think 3 to 4 times a year. He goes down to Homestead. He does a lot of different track, and that's why there's the Cup 2s on it. That's why we went ahead and put 19-inch Titan 7s. They come with 20s from the factory. We really wanted to downsize them, and the cool thing is the guys at Titan 7 made the 19s to clear the ceramics.
It is so close.
Yeah, it's super close.
It's crazy how close it is.
Yeah, but you're going to get more grip with the 19s because you end up getting more sidewall, especially in the rear. But we went with the Cup 2s. But this car gets driven hard.
So 19, do you know the size?
I think they're 11 or 12 in the rear, I believe. I know we're running a 305 in the rear, 305 30s, but car still needs help on the grip. I mean, this is an all-wheel drive version of the R8, it's the Quattro, which is really good, but it's more, you know, it's rear-wheel drive heavy, and then the front-wheel drive kicks in when you kind of lose that traction. But, I mean, this is a crazy car, and it's not, you know, I'm not a big exotic, I mean, Larry and I are on the same page. Like, I'm not a big exotic car type person, but this is kind of gets a pass because it's the top of the line from Audi, and it just looks so good and it performs so well. It's just, I think it's been really successful for them.
Yeah, speaking of not liking supercars, the cars that Tyler's shooting over there, can we just run over there and just talk about those for 5 minutes?
Yeah, we can.
So To me, this is what is special. It's basically something that isn't a supercar. It's not flashy in any way, I feel like. But for a true car nerd, they would instantly recognize it and they would instantly be blown away because of how special these M2 CSs are.
Yeah, it's best of the best from BMW. I mean, this is top of the range M2, it's top of the range M. I mean, there's an M3 CS, an M4 CS, and an M2 CS. And I mean, this is what I think is one of the best BMWs you can go out and buy right now that's still available. I mean, Drew has 3 of them, of course, because he wants to collect everything. But yeah, I mean, this is the exotic. And for me, this is my, like, keep it forever in the corner of my shop and put it away and then bring it out on special days. Because you drive this around in a BMW crowd, you're gonna get stopped. I mean, every time I drive it, people flag me down. Nice car, nice car.
Yeah, these are incredible. You know, I still think the 1M is my favorite BMW because of how analog it is, and it's not fast by any means compared to modern standards, but the drivability, the fun factor when you're on the street, the turbo lag is incredibly fun to drive.
Yeah.
I just love flooring it all the time, everywhere, and just letting it kick in boost, and then I just shift right before it is in full boost. Otherwise, you know, you're pretty much breaking the law all the time.
I mean, the other thing that you get when you have an M2 is the size. This is like an E46 M3. I mean, every other new BMW is huge. I mean, the G80, you've had my G80 now, I don't even know, a year? Months, but you know how the size of that car and how large it is. This is not a large car. This is a hark back to E36, E46 days, which is what makes the car so enjoyable to drive, so enjoyable to even, that BMW still makes it.
Yeah, they've all kind of shifted over, right? So the M3 now is what the M5 used to be.
Yeah.
And the M5 is basically now what the M7, or the 7 Series was.
Yeah, it's like a
right?
7 Series size.
Yeah, basically the M7, right?
Yeah,
And then this, it really is the last analog-ish BMW, especially just driving here, looking at the gauges. It's not like a huge screen that you're looking at, you know? It's analog gauges, handbrake, the analog handbrake, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing they left it in the car. That was the one thing that really I was bummed about with the G80, because I wanted the standard handbrake, and of course let's have the electronic, just like everything else does now. But yeah, I mean, these are really neat cars, and this is another line in the sand for BMW. I mean, we talked about in my other videos about the V8 and the V10 naturally aspirated cars being a line in the sand for BMW. These really are too. What I'm really anxious to get is our new M2, which a lot of people don't like, but we're gonna get the car. We're gonna.
Well, I'll tell you what, as soon as I first saw the G80, I hated it. Hated it. I think everybody could not stand it. But honestly, what you guys did with Warsteiner, what you guys did in terms of like updating the look of your pink car that we actually had a chance to feature last year, that was pretty cool, that you essentially made it your own. And I think you're probably gonna do the same with the new M2.
Yeah, we will. And to me, that's every car. You know, when we go over, and you guys will see my classic stuff later, I mean, there is no perfect car from BMW. There's close to perfect, which these are a great example, but like, they all need something. Maybe they need the Akrapovic. The new cars need some help in the aesthetic department. You know, but that's what we want to do. We want to make the cars better. We want to make them more fun than they already are, and fix the stuff that I don't agree with BMW on. I think, you know, I'm partial to BMW, but the best BMWs are the modified BMWs, the ones that make it your own, the ones that fix the wheel gap, the ones that fix the steering. And yeah, I mean, you're 100% right, Larry. We're gonna find a way to fix that M2 the way we did the G80, and that's kind of my goal.
It's funny because a lot of people say that it comes with a body kit from the factory. It's almost like you have to de-body kit it, or like you have to, I don't know what's a good way to put it.
More
you have
standard,
to make it,
maybe?
You have to make it more, you basically have to make it nice again.
Yeah, but I also think being around the new cars more makes you like them more, because BMW chooses some crazy looks and you're just not used to seeing it, especially when you're so used to seeing these, and pretty much this is an agreeable car. Like someone off the street that has no idea what these are would be like, hey, that's a great looking car. I really like it. They don't really know why. The G80 stock when I had that in green, people would be like, this is a great color. This is a great, neat car, but I don't like the front. I don't like this. I don't like that. And you don't get that with the older F80s and these M2s, which is kind of we have to bring back into the mix, I guess.
Honestly, from my eyes, I feel like it's too easy, for example, like a brand like Porsche, to stick with a design language with something like the 911. You know, it always looks like a 911, and it's
safe.
like the safe thing to do.
Yeah.
And you're pleasing, you know, the Porsche fan crowd, and of course also people that just want to get into the brand. Whereas BMW always just pushing the limit with design. Let's go ahead and drive the R8, and maybe it'll kind of change my mind about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Is this gonna blow my mind?
It should.
All right.
That was the point of it.
We'll see. I think it probably will. Okay. So start is this?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what. One thing about when I say supercar hater of the year, I'm not really a big fan of a car that you can't see the engine bay. But you guys actually work on this thing, and it's actually not that bad, huh?
Well, it is and it's not. I mean, in order to do the supercharger, you have to take the motor out of the car.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's such a big part and of how the motor sits in the car, you can't get access to some of the points that you need to get access to. So it's one of those. It's one of those. It needs to be in dynamic. So this also has upgraded clutches on it from SSP. So it needs to be driven in dynamic only in manual mode. So that's the paddles.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't load up the.
So it's actually not faster if you're driving in automatic mode,
No,
like
it's
a
not.
lot of these new
No,
supercars?
it might be, but as far as like low speed, like we're driving now,
Right.
It's better to be in manual.
Right.
And
Otherwise,
also,
it would just be trying to hunt. Or,
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, what it does is you need to build the pressures up in the transmission, and when you're in manual mode, it's building up those pressures, which means that it's shifting the clutches right. It's just like a standard clutch. If you walk the pedal, you're going to wear the clutch. Same with these transmissions.
Got it.
Same thought process.
What a car. The interior is incredible.
Yeah, it's super nice, and I like the way that it has carbon, but it's not too much. But there's also Alcantara.
I do have to say the view out of this car is really nice.
Yeah, it is.
Like I can see very well.
You can see
unlike
a
a lot of supercars.
Yeah, and you can also see the motor. I mean, if you kind of peek out the rearview mirror.
That sound is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's neat.
Whoa. The shifting is so fast, it's almost like really the moment I think about resting my hand
Yeah.
on this clicker, it shifts.
Yeah, it's like it's reading your mind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
It actually goes pretty good even if you're pretty low in the RPM range.
Yeah.
That's definitely a supercharger thing, huh? So 7 gears.
Yep, 7 gears.
That's cool. It's crazy. Yeah, this is like, I feel like you need to live in Germany and drive on the Autobahn with this thing, dude.
Yeah, it's also the gearing. It's geared in a way that you really have to go fast.
Right. Holy wow.
Car's nuts, and it's night and day from a stock one. So,
dude, this thing is insane.
Once someone feels this with an R8, they definitely want the blower.
Jeez. Dude, my brain just like gets shoved to the back
Yeah, we
of
have
my
to.
head.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the glass
my
gets dirty
goodness.
with all the brains hitting it, so gotta keep it clean. The cool thing is too is this has the Moton 3-ways on it, which, everyone talks about dampers like that being super stiff and super like uncomfortable. Oh, I don't want to ruin my ride. But we really mess with the high and low speed compression on the dampers, and it really has a supple ride rather.
Yeah, for it being more track focused. Is it more track focused?
It is, yes.
It's very mild on this road. I mean, this road's not terrible, but yesterday it was raining and you could see all the divots and the puddles.
Yeah, it's not the best. It's not the best road. I mean, This is a 2-lane across the state road. Gets a lot of traffic.
This was actually completely flooded, right?
It was.
This whole area during the hurricane.
Yep.
So, I mean, the fact that this is not just for straight line speed is what blows my mind. It is so fast, and I just cannot believe how much traction it has. In second gear, with a lot of cars, you just blow the tires off. But I'm sure the traction control is also trying its absolute best to keep this in a straight line.
Yeah, it is. And really, I mean, the crazy thing is when Matt got this done, a really close friend of his got a 765 LT, which, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, that's one of the fastest McLaren standard cars you can get. And it is an absolute rocket. And Matt was able to walk away from that on Sebring in this car with the current setup, with the Motons and with the supercharger. And that was really the level that he wanted, because obviously it's his buddy and they're constantly racing, constantly in competition. And for him to call me that day and say, I smoked the 765, that was a cool thing for my guys at the shop. That was a cool thing for me, that we could, build this into that. Because on paper, stock for stock, the 765 is nuts.
It's interesting because legitimately driving the RS6 on this same road, it actually felt faster because it felt like it was more dangerous in a way. I mean, because as soon as you floor it in the RS6, it like you look up at the sky, because it's just so soft compared to something like this that you're just like you're trying to keep it straight.
For sure.
And this is just no drama at all. It's drives really nice.
Yeah, and I mean, that gets back to also the 19-inch wheels the Titan 7 wheels we put on the car, because we wanted more traction, and stock, this comes with 20s, and you're limited on tires. I mean, the more the cars evolve, the more the sizes get larger. But at the time, the 19s, we wanted a 19 so we could get that 9-inch, that 30 series tire on the back, which, is that sidewall, which, everyone wants to run 3 45-inch wide tires, but really the sidewall is what comes into play from a traction perspective on a car that makes this much power. You really need to have that. And it makes the car feel so much safer, and it also gives the driver, Larry in this case, the confidence of
crazy.
Yeah, crazy.
First gear is too much.
Yeah, and the thing that should not be forgotten is that this has an 8,500 RPM red line with this V10. So, that's neat, and we're really not going to see that much moving forward with all the hybrid stuff.
It sounds so good. It sounds so crazy, and it's just right behind your head.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's a neat experience, and Matt, my customer, he has a 720S, he has a AMG GT that we built, but every time I see Matt, and every time he comes by the shop, he's in this car, and I know why. It's because of the sound, and just everything about it is really just dialed in.
I would just be, if I had this, I would be in so much trouble. Because this thing is just too great. This is so much fun. And on top of that, this is running on pump gas?
It is on pump gas. Yep.
How's that even a thing?
It's part of the tuning. I mean, I didn't want him to be limited by, the fuel that was out there in Florida. Florida's a weird place because there's some areas where ethanol in E85 is super well concentrated, really South Florida. Some areas in Central Florida, they have a lot of stations, but really like Melbourne area, around where the shop is, we don't have a lot of E85 pumps. And, a lot of the customers get pigeonholed into 3 or 4 gas stations they can run. And since Matt, like I said, drives this car a lot, he also goes to the track a lot, they don't have E85 in the pump on Sebring. They have 100, they have 98. So, you know, we wanted a pump gas car, and so he could go anywhere. He goes to Miami a lot. He just didn't want to be, you know, blocked in basically by the fuel.
I think it's awesome. Well, thank you so much for showing this to me.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Not a hater of this car at all. Actually really appreciate the build and the fact that it's probably already really, really good from the factory.
Yeah,
but all the little things that you've done to it just make it that much better. It's probably what, 40% more power than stock? Or
I would
30%?
say so. Yeah, it's about 30-40% more. I mean, this is a funny build for me because I'm not the Audi guy. You know, Drew is. This is not my, you know, my world. But, you know, with some of my partners, with Titan 7 and ESS and Moton and everything, we're able to make something for a customer that wanted it. And, you know, I'm proud of the car. It's a super neat car, and it's a super neat Batmobile. And yeah, thanks for coming and driving it, Larry. I'm happy to share it with you, man.
Incredible. All right. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to support us directly, go to larrychenprints.com. I print and sign every single one of these. This is the perfect gift, or it's the perfect piece of art for your wall.